Perry, I want to get off the football conversation. I want to talk about you. And I was reading a little story about you in Newsday. There was a story a couple of months ago that they wrote about you. And what is your role as the director of sports management at LIU? It's a beautiful school right now. The school is absolutely growing. Their sports program is growing. And now you're one of the leaders of the program. What are your thoughts with LIU and the college and really the program right now for sports?
Yeah. Well, as you said, it's a great school. It's a beautiful school. I had known about it when I was playing for the Giants. Obviously, I lived in New Jersey, out of Meadowlands. But I had heard of LIU. At that time, it was called LIU Post. TW Post, but it's changed now since we had the merge of the Brooklyn campus as well as the Brookville campus, with the campus I call it in the country here in the suburb. They have joined together. We are unified one team now, called Long Island University. Completely sharp. They changed the logo, the name from what they had before. So the consolidation is a great transition to the D1 level, as I said. Now it's a wonderful experience because it's changed for me. It was a new beginning to meet these young men and ladies and the student athletes and this student body in general. It's a lot of the stuff that's in place out here already. I just want to add on as we call teamwork and just make it grow and be prosperous, and not only as athletes, as the student athletes, but just as students in general. It's a great school. Got a great business school here. We just got a great school across the board. The business school is I'm under the umbrella of the business school, the College of Management. We have one of the top premier business schools in the country. A lot of our professors and instructors, these are Wall Street students. They teach in business and they teach finance and communication class. So we got data analytics. We're doing a lot of different things that we're planning on doing under the umbrella of the business school. And as we know, sports is a business. Sports management right now is a $1 trillion industry all over the world. So it's a lot of opportunities trying to build relationships with other companies out here all throughout this region, throughout this metro area for internships and job placement opportunities. So that's one of the things that I'm working on real hard right now, is pushing that. I lecture a couple of classes, the Introduction to Sports Management class, and then I also have the Psychology of Sports class that I lecture. So I enjoy doing that with the students. I have a nice enrollment that we got. We got over 50 students. We just started the program.
That's amazing.
This past year, so we up to about 52, 53. So my goal and my objective, hopefully we get it up to 150, 200 someday or more. That's like anything else, fellas. Baby got to crawl before he walks. So LIU is on the move. It's going to take a little minute. It's going to take a little time. Just like the New York Giants, when I got there, the New York Giants wasn't doing well. In 1983, we went 3-12-1, and then from 1984 to 1993, we went on a tear. We became great players.
You also drafted arguably one of the greatest football players of all time in Lawrence Taylor. That's not too shabby either.
Yeah, he was 2 years ahead of me. I knew about LT in college because I went to NC State and he went to University of North Carolina. That other school, I like to say, teasing me. But he was a tremendous ball player. But to get back to the subject matter, what you're asking about the question here, that was the education standpoint. LIU is an upswing. We're going to do some great things, not only on the sports endeavors, but we want to do great things for the kids and going out and being prosperous and being successful in life in the real world someday. Life skills, people skills, soft skills. I mean, you name it, that's what we work on. We have the pillars of success. We work on honesty, integrity, loyalty, commitment, respect. So, I think that's very important. The young men and women, I don't care what, be in the business world, education institution, or the sports world, you got to be able to survive and sustain your life and know how to govern yourself and carry yourself and be what we call a true professional, not only on the sports field, but in the world itself.
It's amazing. It really is. We are speaking to Perry Williams. If you guys don't know him, two-time Super Bowl champion with the New York Giants from 83 all the way to 93, right?
84 to 93. Yeah.
I'm sorry, 84 to 94. Well, it's 10 years. 10 years of NFL football, two-time Super Bowl champion with the New York Giants, and keynote speaker. What were your, being that you went and spoke in front of the Pentagon and speaking in front of all the top officials, what was it like standing in front of senators and mayors and people, politicians who some people couldn't stand? I mean, me being one of them.
Couldn't stand.
Me being one of them.
Experience. Yeah. It was a great experience because, all the four military branches of the military, I was talking to admirals and generals and Secretary of State, Secretary of Commerce, Secretary of this or that or whatever, and mayors and other politicians. So it was a great experience for me. The way that happened, fellows, is word of mouth. Somebody told somebody else about me, and the word of mouth got all the way to Washington, D.C. And I live in North Carolina, of course, but obviously I'm working up here. But the word of mouth had got around, and I got a phone call from a contact that I knew, and said that they wanted to talk to me. So that's how I got the gig, and what a great honor it was for me to talk in front of 350 brightest minds in the country, the men, women, and men at large. And my topic that night that I spoke about 30 minutes. They wanted me to do a little fire brimstone memoir for the gift of speech. And my topic was what it takes to be a winner. So I think I did pretty well that night. I got about a 3-minute standing ovation. So I think I did okay.
Well, with politicians,
country boy like me from North Carolina.
With politicians, you don't know what to expect, especially when you're speaking in front of them about anything that has nothing to do with them. So
nothing to do with their extreme viewpoints.
So if it doesn't have anything to do with them, I'm very surprised you got their attention.
Yeah. Well, I think I was able to get their attention, and they kept their attention. Kind of get them engaged a little bit. That's the most important thing, is to get them engaged. And once you get them engaged, you got to hit them quick, fast, in a hurry, because they won't hold their attention span too long. So got to hurry up and get the point across.
Well, I'll tell you this, Perry. We're based out of Long Island, and we're doing some big things over here. We would love to work with you and, well, it was CW Post, but LIU, Long Island University, and maybe doing something. I know you guys have a great sports program over there. We do play-by-play. We do some stuff not only throughout our studios, but we go to different events. We do a lot of live shows throughout different parts of the country. We've been to Foxwoods. We've been to Mohegan Suns. We've been to all the way to Atlantic City. We would love to do live shows and do some interviews when it comes to the coach, the players, and get them more involved with not only sports from Long Island, but sports around the country. And we have some big things that we're going to be announcing very, very soon, and we would love to do some work with LIU.
Well, fantastic. Well, that sounds music to my ears, and the more the merrier. Never get too much. Get too much of that wisdom.
Well, don't tell that to Lawrence Taylor.
That we can get and get all the help we can get, and that's what it's all about. It's about networking. That's one of the main emphasis I put out to all the students all across the board, across both universities, because I'm also the FAR of the university. Something I had never heard of. What the president meant with me, he said, "I will you the FAR now." I said, "The FAR," which is the faculty athletic representative. I'm like the liaison for both campuses, the Brooklyn campus as well as the Brookfield campus.
Well, what I'll do is I'll reach out to Clifford. He'll give me all your information, and we'll actually swap emails, and we'll conversate, and then we'll do something together. I would really like to work with you guys. I love what you're doing. I read the Newsday story that came out a couple of months ago, and Clifford has been reaching out to me on LinkedIn, and he's a really, really nice guy. I don't know how you guys are affiliated with each other.
Yeah, he's one of my colleagues.
He's a great guy. He really is, and
he's a sharp guy. He's a great speaker himself.
He's a smooth speaker. He's smooth, but we would love to get you on and talk more about what you're doing with LIU, and we'd love to come over there after this whole Corona epidemic is over, and we can actually have a life, and we can actually go places and do the things that we love to do, is interact with fans and interact with people, which we would love to come over there and do something. Knowing that you play the defense position, and you were speaking about how the game has completely changed, and we've argued the points on the GOAT, who's the greatest quarterback to ever play the game. Now, mine has always been and always will be Joe Montana because of what he did in a time where the game was completely defensively played and how he transitioned the game from defense to offense. And yes, they had great teams, and yes, there wasn't a free agency market like it is now. But what are your thoughts on who is the greatest, and it doesn't have to be a quarterback, in your eyes? And I know you played with Lawrence Taylor, and some people will argue it was Lawrence Taylor. Who was the greatest NFL player of all time?
Well, the greatest NFL player was my opposition, and of course I'm biased when I say Lawrence Taylor, which he was the greatest player. But the greatest opposition I played against is the guy you just called, Joe Montana, by far the greatest.
Do you think
Joe Montana was a surgeon? I call him the surgeon. He was slice and dice you to death. I mean, he was a tremendous ball player, savviness, and mentally, physically tough, even though he was a smaller guy. But he was tough as nails, and I always admired his game and the success he had. But he was just savvy, very highly intelligent, of course. And he went out there and he was a ball player. He was about winning. And obviously he showed that by winning, 4 championships I think he had. Mm-hmm. And he demonstrated that. But he was a classic guy, too. That's another reason I would say that about him, because off the field, I talked to him on several occasions, and he was a guy who was a real true professional, and I always appreciated that about him.
Last question I have for you, and I want you to answer it. And I know a lot of people probably have asked you this question over the years. They just had a 30 for 30 Bill and Bill, and Bill Belichick and Bill Parcells, who a lot of people have said over the years they get along, they don't get along, back and forth banter, and they were actually sitting and telling the story on how they built the New York Giants and how the New York Giants became a 2-time Super Bowl champions and all the trials and tribulations and how Bill Belichick has followed everywhere Bill Parcells has gone, and that's probably why he probably didn't take the Jets job and he flew all the way over there to New England and took over the New England Patriots job because he didn't want to take over Bill Parcells' mess. Who was the greatest coach you ever played under? Was it Bill Belichick as your defensive coordinator, or was it Bill Parcells?
Yeah, Bill Belichick.
Really?
I mean, I'm up in the air a little bit. I'm a little biased again, fellas, because my defensive coordinator when I was my last 3 years at NC State, Wolfpack down in Raleigh, North Carolina, was Pete Carroll was my defensive coordinator in college for 3 years. So Pete Carroll, I had him before I even had Bill Belichick or Parcells. So I was around a superstar then. Mm-hmm. And at that time, he was on the rise himself back in 1980 and 83. So, but Pete was a great players coach. Belichick, was all around, he was just like a scientist, a mad scientist. This guy could just revolutionize his defenses and make things happen. And Parcells, he was a great team coach too as well. So but if I had to make a choice, Belichick was probably the greatest one I've ever been associated with.
Wow. And a lot of people wouldn't have expected that, knowing that Bill Parcells was your head coach. But and I've talked to a bunch of Giants.
He was my way. I'm not taking nothing away from Bill.
No. I know.
He's a tremendous coach.
I know.
No doubt about that. But before Belichick being on the defensive side of the ball and being with him for 8 years straight and on meetings and constant meetings with him, my greatest experience I ever had in my 8 years with Belichick was I came in. I had kind of had a little Charlie horse after I forgot what game I played in, and I came in early one morning about 5:30, 6 o'clock, quarter to 6 in the morning at the complex, Giant Stadium at the time. And I got a bag of ice, and I said, I'll just go ice myself a little bit before I have our team meeting at 9 o'clock. Where I went in there about 6, called myself going to watch some film and by myself. And I heard this rumbling going on inside the defensive meeting room. And I opened the door, and it was Bill Belichick sitting in there riding a stationary bike watching film. And he realized it was me. He brought me in, and we sat down for 30 minutes. And I learned more in 30 minutes than I learned in my whole entire career as a professional, college, high school, middle school, elementary. In 30 minutes, I learned that much from him.